every story you'll hear here is real, told by the very people who live through it. Encounters with creatures, spirits, and mysteries that most will never believe until they see it themselves. The actual names of the people in the story have been altered to protect the identities of those involved.
It was the start of summer when Noel, a 16-year-old from Manila, found himself riding a bus bound for Baguio. The air grew cooler as the roads twisted up the mountains, and pine trees soon replaced the concrete jungle he was used to. And so, he arrived at the wooden house near the forest edge in Baguio, rustic and slightly weathered, with tall pine trees surrounding it. Noel stands in front with a travel bag, greeted by his two older male cousins, who came out and welcomed him warmly, promising a week of hiking, biking, and exploring hidden parts of the forest. The next morning, after having breakfast, Noel, Jonas, and Miko came hiking a narrow forest trail surrounded by tall pine trees, sunlight filtering through the branches as they see the low lands of Baguio, laughter on their faces like little kids as they wander the hidden parts of the forest. On his third night, after a long day of playing with his two cousins in the cool mountain air, Noel went to bed early in the small room he shared with them. Interior of a dim, cozy wooden room with 3 beds close together, a small night lamp glowing, and a wooden window with one small brick-sized panel missing. The room was dimly lit by the soft glow of a night lamp, its light barely touching the far corners. The moon is the only light source outside of the ants' house at night. The forest in the background dark and mysterious, a faint mist rolling in. The silent night makes the cold wind whistled from the outside be heard inside the house. In the bedroom, Noel drifted into a half-sleep. But then, something felt off. A strange heaviness settled in his chest, and the fine hairs on his arms stood up. He opened his eyes slowly, unsure of what had stirred him. The room was quiet, too quiet. Even the crickets seemed to have fallen silent. His gaze wandered until it fell on the small gap in the wooden window, an old missing brick-sized panel where light or air sometimes slipped through. But tonight, it wasn't light or air that greeted him. It was a pair of glowing red eyes. They hovered just beyond the window, steady and unblinking. A massive, shadowy outline loomed behind them, the faintest shape of what seemed to be a head crowned with wild hair all over its body. Noel's chest tightened. He knew the stories. His grandmother used to warn him, never stare too long into the eyes of a Kapre. Heart-pounding, Noel reached over and shook Jonas, who was sleeping right next to him. Kuya, wake up. Look, the window. His voice was barely above a whisper, afraid the thing might hear him. Even in a panic, he tried his best to remain calm as he could. Jonas, still sleepy, opened one eye, irritated, but followed Noel's trembling finger toward the missing brick. He stared for a moment, his expression unreadable, then sighed. "Oh, that's just the Kapre," Jonas muttered, turning back to face the wall. "He's always out there. Just don't mind him." Noel froze, having goosebumps. Just don't mind him. How could anyone sleep knowing something was out there watching? But Jonas's calm dismissal left him with no choice. He pulled the blanket over his head, trying not to look again, thinking that the creature is still there. He tried his best to calm himself and try to sleep. Yet curiosity tugged at him. Slowly, he peeked out, only to find the red eyes still there, locked onto him. They didn't blink. They didn't move. They simply watched, as his two cousins are in deep sleep. Noel shut his eyes tight, forcing himself to breathe slowly, pretending he was asleep. Outside, the faint scent of tobacco smoke drifted in through the gap of the window, and the eyes stayed there until he finally slipped into an uneasy sleep, Also, the scent of tobacco smoke drifting into the dim wooden room slowly dissipated,